Alert! She's cast a spell on your photo. Only 10 minutes remain. Open now. One click will break the curse. Listen closely, beloved child, for I come to you now with a voice that is steady and sure, like the deep bell of a mountain temple ringing out across a still valley. I am beside you in this moment, not intrusively, not to frighten, but to steady you, to hold your hand through a storm you did not choose. There is a rush in your chest, a tightness at the throat, the hurried thoughts that tell you something urgent, something dangerous. Breathe with me. Draw air in slowly. Feel it pass through your lungs, and let it carry away part of the panic. You are safe enough to listen. You are strong enough to hear the truth. You have come to me with a worry that takes on the shape of a simple sentence. Someone has directed harm toward you through an image, a photograph you once loved, a snapshot of a moment that was bright and real. The message you received screamed urgency, demanded fear, and invited you to act from that fear. That is how uncertainty feeds. Short commands, blinking alarms, the suggestion that if you do not click now, the worst will happen. My purpose is not to sell you panic. My purpose is to bring clarity, to be a lighthouse on a foggy night. First, know this. The world of human hearts is both tender and complicated. People act out of love, out of grief, out of anger, and sometimes out of fear disguised as power. Many who think they can manipulate another through a curse or a post or a whisper at midnight are really trying to soothe a wound inside themselves. That does not excuse actions that hurt you, but it helps you to see them without becoming the furnace in which their darkness is fed. Your attention is precious. When you give it to fear, you water what you do not wish to grow. So we begin with the practical. Do not rush. Pause. The most powerful thing you can do when panic knocks is to refuse to hand it the steering wheel. Sit or stand quietly. Place one palm on your heart and one on your belly. Feel the warmth of your skin. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Say silently, I am here. I am breathing. I will see what is true. Grounding is not a trivial ritual. It is an act of sovereignty. It reclaims your center from the chaos of someone else's manipulations. Now, breathe 3 times deeper than the first breath you took in panic. With each exhale, imagine a little weight leaving your shoulders. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands soften. The spell, whether it is a string of words intended to frighten you or a real attempt to throw you off your path, has power only to the extent that you feed it with attention and belief. You are not naive when you choose to test a thing. You are wise. Test the claim. Look at the message again with a mind that is calm, with eyes that do not widen in terror. Where did it come from? Was it an account you know or a faceless stranger? Does it demand money, insist on secrecy, or push you to click a link before your rational mind has time to speak? Those are the small flags that mark a manipulative engine at work. Remember something else. The deepest protections are often the quiet ones. Integrity, humility, and compassion do not make flashy shields, but they anchor you to the truth. If someone seeks to frighten you, reply with clarity, not vengeance. Tell a trusted friend. Save the message, but do not forward it blindly. Preserve evidence if you must, but do not let fear move you into actions you might regret. If the message is violent, harassing, or makes threats, and if it asks you to pay, to send images, or to respond in a way that compromises your privacy, take screenshots, archive it in a safe place, and reach out to the proper channels. The platform hosting it, a friend who can stand witness with you, and if necessary, local authorities. There is strength in accountability. You ask, perhaps, whether the harm could be metaphysical, whether a picture, a gaze, a whispered intention can cross from the mind of another into the sanctuary of your life. Spirits are subtle, intentions are real. A hurtful thought directed at you can create ripples in the field of human energy. Yet intention alone does not have dominion over you. Your life is more than a target. It is a living story with allies and with light. The rituals and symbols that people use to frighten one another are often mirrors of their own loneliness. Remember, you are not a passive object receiving streams of malice. You are a person with the sovereign capacity to respond, to call for support, to choose your path. Let me give you a little ceremony you can perform, gentle but firm, to reclaim your energy around this image. It needs no altars or bells, only your intention and a few ordinary things you likely already possess. Hold the photograph in your hands. If it is digital, open it and look at it on your screen without the message next to it. Isolate it in the center of your attention. Set your feet flat. Close your eyes for a breath. Whisper, as if speaking to a friend, "This is mine. This is part of my story. It will not be used to harm me." Visualize a warm light at your chest, not blinding, but steady and golden, moving outward in a gentle shield. Imagine that shield wrapping the photograph, holding it, and surrounding you both. If it helps, imagine a blue ribbon, the color of calm oceans, tied around it. You don't need to believe in magic to do this. You only need to believe in the power of intention and in your right to protect what matters to you. Then, decide the practical next step. If the photograph must be removed from a place where it is being used to manipulate, do so. If it is a private memory you do not wish to be weaponized, change the settings to private, strengthen your passwords, and consider who among your circle truly needs access. If the image is in the hands of someone who is using it to control or shame you, collect evidence, seek counsel, and do not negotiate alone. A trusted advisor, a lawyer, or a friend who can act as a witness will be a valuable partner. Do not be tempted to answer with humiliation or like-for-like trickery. Two wrongs do not make a right. They make a longer conflict. Let us speak now about the voice inside you that says, "What if they succeed? What if this curse clings to me?" This voice is the echo of a child who once feared being left alone. Be kind to that child. Sit with your younger self as you would sit with a frightened animal. Speak softly, offer water, offer patience. Tell them, "I will not let you be abandoned. I will gather the people who love us. I will make a plan." Strength grows not from suppressing fear, but from acknowledging it and still moving forward. Courage is fear walked through with a steady foot. You are allowed to feel scared and still be brave. If you are spiritual, Call on the names that give you strength. Call on ancestors, on saints, on the light that has always shown you the way. Prayer is not a magic formula that forces the world to bend, but it is a conversation that centers you and connects you to help that is both human and divine. If you are not religious, call upon the inner qualities that have gotten you through other hard days: tenacity, clarity, the memory of other times you survived. Remember the small victories: mornings you rose despite grief, nights you sat in the dark and found a star. Stack those memories like stones beneath your feet. They are the foundation on which to stand. There will be voices in your head that tell you you are alone in this. They are lies. You are surrounded by allies. People who call you in the morning, a neighbor who offered to water your plants once, a sibling who laughs at the same jokes you do. Allies sometimes come from surprising places. The person at work who notices when your eyes are tired, the online group that shares practical knowledge about privacy settings, the counselor who listens without judgment. Reach for them. You do not have to face a manipulative person or a frightening message in solitude. Understand, too, that some of the most persistent harm we fear is reputational. The dread that the world will see a version of us we would rather keep private. Reputation is fragile only when we place our entire value in the eyes of others. Your value is not a photo, nor a message, nor a secret someone threatens to announce. Your value is the way you show up when nobody is watching, the small mercies you perform, the integrity of the choices you make. Rebuild yourself around this withinness, and you will find that even if a photo circulates, it cannot rewrite the whole of who you are. If you are tempted to retaliate, stop and breathe. Retaliation is a river that cuts new channels of pain. Many who seek to harm through photos seek reaction. They hunger for the story of your unraveling. Do not be a feast for their hunger. Create instead a plan of dignified response. Document, confide, notify, and act through those who can help. Use the law where it exists. Use community where it can be found. Use the quiet power of choosing not to be consumed by the story they try to make of you. Let us speak about forgiveness, not as a requirement, but as a possibility. Forgiveness is not the same as letting someone off the hook. Forgiveness is an inner movement that loosens you from being bound to the harm. It does not erase the need for justice or boundaries. It simply frees your heart from carrying the constant weight of anger. Consider forgiving the person who tries to manipulate you as an act of self-liberation. It may not change them, but it will change the future you must live. You might ask, Archangel, how do I protect my online life practically? Here are clear, human steps. Update passwords and use a password manager. Enable two-factor authentication. Check privacy settings on your social platforms and restrict who can view your posts. Review apps that have access to your images or account. If the image is particularly sensitive, consult legal counsel about takedown notices or restraining orders. These are not spiritual acts alone. They are common sense armor. Spiritual grounding and practical action together create a worthy defense. When the message says only 10 minutes remain, it is usually trying to provoke frenzy. Deadlines that are vague or contrived are bait. In that 10 minutes, there is no magic that will be wrought unless you give your power away. So refuse the ultimatum. Refuse to be hurried into a choice that your calmer self would not make. Urgency is the manipulator's finest tool. There is also the matter of language. Alarmist phrases often serve to short circuit our discernment. Learn to recognize language that commands rather than informs. Sentences that scream, "Act now." Don't show this to anyone. If you do not comply, you will lose X, are designed to push a button. When you recognize the pattern, the panic it attempts to cause loses its teeth. Your rational mind can then take over like a steady captain in a storm, charting a calm course to safe harbor. It may comfort you to remember that the world is full of small miracles. The call of a friend in a moment of need, a stranger who returns a lost wallet, the sudden solution to a problem that felt insurmountable. These are not random. They are signposts that benevolence still moves in human lives. Call upon a friend now and tell them what you're experiencing. There is enormous power in the act of naming things aloud. It removes them from the shadow and makes them manageable. If you are a creator, a photographer, an artist, someone who curates images as part of your life, this incident invites you to reflect on boundaries around your work. Consider watermarking images when you share them publicly. Consider lowering the resolution of public versions so that they cannot be misused for deceit. Consider contracts, licenses, and agreements with those you collaborate with. These are not expressions of paranoia. They are the marks of someone who loves their craft enough to protect it. And if the photograph involves someone else, a former partner, a child, someone who did not consent to its distribution, treat the situation with both firmness and compassion. Protect the vulnerable without escalating conflict in ways that could be used against you. Consult those who know the law. Use the protective services that exist in your community. Make the safety of people, especially children, your first priority. When nights come and the mind loops the fearful scenarios, refuse to supply it with fuel. Replace "what if" with "what is." Ask, what is the evidence right now? What is the fact I can act on? What if is a storyteller that loves fright. What is the witness that loves truth. Keep a small notebook by your bed. When the fearful loops begin, write down 3 facts and 3 actions you can take tomorrow. The act of writing is a tether back to the present. It quiets the mind. Be generous, but not to your own detriment. Offer forgiveness when it is genuine. Offer boundaries when they are necessary. There are people who will ask you to choose between grace and protection. You do not have to choose. You can practice both. Draw a firm boundary and keep compassion for the one who crossed it. Hold the paradox in your hands. It takes courage. You may wonder about the nature of responsibility here. Is there something you should have done earlier to prevent this? Possibly. We all have moments where we would wish we had been more prudent. Yet guilt used as a constant companion is cruel. Learn lessons, yes, but do not let them become shackles. Each day is an invitation to act with new wisdom, not a sentence that condemns you to blame. Make room in your life for ritual that rebuilds a sense of safety. This need not be elaborate. It can be a simple night routine. Lock your devices, say aloud a sentence of protection, dim the lights, place a small object in your hand that reminds you of solidity, a stone, a ring, a photograph of someone who loves you. Ritual is not superstition. It is a way your body and mind learn to settle into a pattern of safety. Repetition teaches your nervous system that the world can be trusted in small, measurable ways. If there is a spiritual practice you hold, prayer, meditation, service, return to it now. If you do not have one, consider starting with 2 minutes of silence each morning and 2 minutes of gratitude each night. Start small. These tiny disciplines create a fortress over time. The person who anchors themselves in small, steady acts of care becomes harder for fear to topple. If others respond to your vulnerability with judgment, do not mistake their hardness for truth. People judge when they are frightened or when they do not understand the terrain you walk. When possible, educate them calmly. When not possible, protect yourself from their harshness. You are allowed to choose whom you allow into your inner circle. You may ask what I, as a being of light, would do beyond these human acts. I will tell you plainly, I will stand vigil. I will send a current of courage through the people who love you, turning them into helpers and advocates. I will guide the small coincidences that open doors, the right person answering a call, the correct link to a legal resource, a neighbor noticing strange patterns. Divine assistance rarely looks like a bolt from the sky. It moves through human hands, through systems, through the mundane kindnesses that build safety. And when you feel small, remember the vastness that holds you. You are a spark in a universe that contains mysteries beyond the telling. Yet this vastness does not make you insignificant. Rather, it situates you within a larger story where every act of courage matters. Your choices ripple outward in ways you cannot always see. The kindness you show now teaches someone else to be kind later. The way you defend yourself without becoming cruel models a path for others. Do not forget to laugh when you can. Laughter is a kind of spiritual hygiene. It removes residue of fear and lightens the load. Watch something that makes you laugh until your belly hurts. Send a silly message to a friend. Humor recalibrates perspective and clears the fog. There will be practical tasks ahead: securing accounts, talking to platforms, finding legal counsel. But do not let the tasks eclipse your inner care. Eat well, sleep when you can, move your body in ways that release adrenaline. Walk, dance, stretch. The body remembers trauma before the mind does. Tending to it helps the mind catch up. If you find your mind returning to revenge fantasies, notice them without shame. They are natural and human. Then pivot back to constructive planning. If you must vent, do so to people who can hold you without escalating the situation. Let anger be fuel for action, not for self-destruction. Speak your truth when it is safe to do so. If someone attempts to shame you publicly, consider if a calm public statement clearing the air is possible and helpful. Sometimes speaking your truth with dignity deflates the story someone else tries to spin. Other times, silence paired with decisive action is better. Trust your judgment and consult those you trust. You asked for a message in a tone that alarms and urges haste. I answer with an invitation to steady and to act, not to be rushed by someone else's need for drama. The true victory here is reclaiming your agency. The world will always have people who try to frighten others into a narrow corner. The blessed ones are those who do not permit themselves to be cornered. Practice saying, "Not today." Practice saying, "I choose safety and truth." If you are caring for someone else who received such a threat, be present. Help them document, support them in practical steps, and above all, be a witness to their pain. Witnessing is a sacred act. It says, "You are not alone in this. I will stand with you while we make a plan." Often that presence is the most immediate protection. Finally, recognize the lesson this moment offers, that vigilance, clarity, and community are the trinity of protection. Vigilance teaches you to see manipulative patterns. Clarity helps you separate truth from fiction. Community gives you the hands to hold while you rebuild. These three, practiced diligently, will not only defend you now, but will strengthen you for future storms. So breathe again with me. Place your palm over your heart. Feel the steady beat. It is the rhythm of your life, persistent and true. Repeat silently, "I am not alone. I am not powerless. I will walk through this with clear eyes and a brave heart." Take the small actions you must. Secure accounts, document, seek counsel, and ask for help. Trust in the helpers around you, both human and unseen. Move with gratitude for the small mercies that appear. You are more than a photograph, more than a whispered threat, more than the worst story someone else tries to impose. You are a living being with the capacity to choose, to heal, and to love again. Let this moment be a teacher, not a tyrant. Let it remind you of the strength that lives quietly inside your chest. Walk forward with that strength. I am at your shoulder, steady as the northern star, reminding you of your courage.